What if one of history's greatest minds, I mean, the person who basically built the modern world, had actually started out as a massive failure? We're doing a deep dive on Thomas Alva Edison today. We're not just, listing his greatest hits like the light bulb and the phonograph.
Right, because that textbook version of Edison, this lone genius just waiting for a lightning bolt of inspiration, it's a total myth. We really need to break that down.
Exactly.
Our sources show a man who is defined not by these isolated flashes of brilliance, but by this relentless, almost industrial application of sheer willpower.
Yeah.
So for you, the learner, the core insight we're trying to pull out here is how Edison invented not just things, but the actual process of invention itself.
We've got a mountain of information that shows the struggle. I mean, this is a boy who was nearly deaf, who nearly failed out of school, but somehow went on to file over 1,000 patents.
1,000, yeah.
Our mission today is to really unpack that transformation, to show how this system of just stubborn refusal to quit became his most powerful tool.
And that journey, it really all begins with a moment of, well, radical reframing.
Okay, so let's unpack that. Thomas Edison, he was born in 1847 in Ohio.
Yeah.
And his childhood story, it's not about early success, it's actually about early rejection.
Right.
We know about this pivotal moment in his schoolroom where his teacher just lost patience with him and labeled him addled.
Which was, a 19th century term for being mentally slow. Confused. He was sent home with a note.
And this is where the entire story just pivots. Instead of accepting the school's judgment, his mother, Nancy Edison, she stages this. This ultimate intervention.
It's incredible. She basically tells him, they don't know what to do with you. You're too smart for them, so I'll teach you.
Wow.
And that wasn't just, emotional support. It was the creation of a totally different learning environment for him.
So that one act of belief, it just counteracted this institutional dismissal and set him on a path of, self-directed learning.
Totally. He said it himself later, my mother made me. She believed in me. But practically what that meant was that his education wasn't stuck in a classroom. It was only limited by his own curiosity.
So the world became his laboratory.
His giant hands-on laboratory, exactly. He just devoured books, especially on chemistry and mechanics, and by the time he's 12, he's not just reading about science.
He's doing it.
He's doing it, and he's practicing commerce, he's selling newspapers, he's running a mini lab, even a printing press, inside the baggage car of a train. He was an entrepreneur and an experimenter at the same time.
What's so fascinating here, though, is the physical challenge he was facing. By his teens, Edison was almost completely deaf.
Yeah, severely hearing impaired.
And for someone working with loud, early machinery, you'd think that would be a huge, dangerous disadvantage.
You would think so. It was a massive hurdle, but he developed this really unique view of it. He came to believe that the silence actually eliminated distraction.
So he saw it as an advantage.
A huge advantage. He had this singular focus that other people just couldn't achieve in the noise of the industrial age. Some sources even suggest his deafness helped him with the telegraph because he could focus on the feel of the coded messages, the vibrations, without any auditory noise.
He turned a weakness into a professional strength.
A highly specialized one, yeah.
And his entry into that world, into telegraphy, it came from this almost cinematic moment. He saved a station agent's son from being hit by a train.
And the reward wasn't money, it was knowledge. The agent was so grateful he taught Edison telegraphy for free, and that skill was his key into the entire communications network of the 1860s.
So he becomes a traveling telegraph operator, and he's constantly tinkering with the instruments, upgrading them.
Which leads directly to his first patents.
And he used that foundation to pivot into serious invention in his early 20s. He developed the universal stock ticker, which was this huge improvement on the tech used to transmit market prices.
And the payoff for that was massive. He sold the patent for $40,000. And this is the moment that completely changes everything, not just for his career, but for the history of innovation. Because he didn't, buy a mansion with that money.
Right.
He used it to systematically organize invention itself.
He didn't just build a workshop. He established what he called his invention factory in Menlo Park, New Jersey. And this is where it gets really interesting. Why was that so radical?
Because before Menlo Park, invention was a lonely game. An inventor in their attic chasing one idea till the money ran out. Edison industrialized R&D.
So Menlo Park was the world's first true research lab.
The very first. It was a facility designed not to solve one problem, but to create a predictable flow of inventions. Commercial inventions.
So he's not just hiring assistants, he's hiring engineers, machinists, scientists. It's a whole ecosystem.
Precisely. He created a machine for generating patents. He even joked that his team should be producing a minor invention every 10 days and a big thing every 6 months or so. That systematic approach, it's the model for every corporate R&D lab we see today.
And that invention factory quickly turned its attention to the biggest challenge of the era, electric light. I mean, people had tried to create electric lamps before, but they all burned out too fast, they were too expensive, or just flat out dangerous.
But Edison saw the potential to completely transform society. He knew that whoever solved this wouldn't just be an inventor, they'd be the architect of the future.
Which is why he made that incredibly bold promise: I will make electricity so cheap that only the rich will burn candles.
It was a vision of democratized power. Total game changer.
But turning that vision into a reality meant this agonizing process of trial and error. This is where that systematic persistence really comes into play.
Oh, absolutely. His team ran relentless experiments. They tested hundreds of materials for the light bulb's filament, the little wire that glows.
What kind of stuff were they trying?
Everything. Platinum, nickel, cotton thread, linen, different grasses, wood shavings. The sources show these meticulous logs of every single trial.
And this leads to that famous exchange, the one that really defines his whole mindset. When a reporter asked him about failing, 1,000 times?
He had the perfect response. He said, I did not fail 1,000 times. I found 1,000 ways that did not work.
Right.
And that's not just a catchy quote. That was his methodology. Every failure wasn't a waste. It was data. It eliminated a possibility and got them one step closer to the answer.
For the learner, that's such a crucial point. Persistence isn't just about not giving up. It's about learning from every negative result.
Exactly. And that methodology, it finally paid off. They found the material, carbonized bamboo.
Abandoned boat.
Carbonized bamboo, yeah. The first one glowed for 13 and a half hours, which was just revolutionary.
They improved it pretty quickly from there, right?
Oh, yeah. Soon they had it lasting over 1,200 hours. The commercial light bulb was born. But here's the critical point that people miss. The light bulb, on its own, was completely useless.
Because you had nowhere to plug it in.
You had nowhere to plug it in. It's the difference between inventing an object and inventing a system.
He had planned the whole infrastructure project already.
The entire electrical system. He designed the generators, the underground wiring, the safety switches, the meters to track usage. He saw the city itself as the laboratory.
And he launched that vision in 1882 with the world's first power plant on Pearl Street in New York City.
Can you imagine? Suddenly, a square mile of Manhattan lights up. It's the beginning of modern urban life. Night literally turned into day.
So while the light bulb gets all the credit, his true genius was in building that entire system.
It was, but that success, it also introduced his next great challenge. His system ran on direct current, DC.
Which didn't travel very far.
Exactly. It lost power over long distances, making it inefficient for powering, say, a whole country. And that limitation set the stage for one of the biggest tech clashes in history.
The War of the Currents. This was Edison's DC versus who was it?
Nikola Tesla and George Westinghouse, who were backing alternating current, or AC. And this is critical context. AC was way better for long-distance transmission. Their system could power the country more cheaply and efficiently. Edison was a brilliant inventor, but he was stubborn and sometimes pretty ruthless in defending his system.
So it was a huge public fight.
A massive, expensive fight. In the end, AC won for distribution, though DC is still crucial today in electronics. But that pressure, that need for cash, it probably pushed him to focus on other inventions that could generate revenue faster.
Which brings us to the incredible breadth of his work. The light bulb might define him, but he was also the master of sound and vision.
Take the phonograph. 1877, the world's first device to record and play back sound. I mean, the cultural shock of this can't be overstated.
People thought it was magic, right?
They thought it was a trick. Or magic, yes. It was the first time we could capture sound, and it paved the way for the entire recording industry.
And then there's his work on the motion picture camera, the kinetoscope.
Foundational work. It laid the groundwork for modern filmmaking. And when you add it all up, improved telegraphs, better batteries, innovations in cement, mining, the sheer volume is staggering. Over 1,000 U.S. patents.
But the sources also remind us that this level of success wasn't simple. It came with huge costs, financial losses, constant lawsuits, and personal tragedy.
He was a driven man, but that drive had a price. He really synthesized his whole philosophy, though, when he said, I never quit until I get what I want.
So what does this deep dive really mean for you? The man who was called too slow built the future. Not because he was struck by lightning, but because he invented the method to capture lightning.
That's a great way to put it. He invented the process of innovation at Menlo Park, and then he invented the large-scale application of it with Pearl Street.
The takeaway here is huge.
It is. Every time you flip a switch, listen to music, or watch a movie, you're interacting with the legacy of his systemic persistence. He proves that the greatest leverage comes from building frameworks that make breakthroughs predictable.
An incredible legacy.
Which leaves us with a final, provocative thought. We talked about how Edison used his deafness as a professional advantage, a tool for focus.
Right, to eliminate distraction.
So this raises a question for you. How many qualities that you might see as a weakness, a non-traditional background, a different learning style, some perceived limitation, how many of those could actually be turned into unique advantages if you approach them with Edison's level of systematic persistence? That's a system worth exploring.